Market Peak with Seth and Matt. Welcome, everybody. This is Seth and Matt with Market Peak, P-E-E-K, here to give you a peek of the market. And this is Saturday, April 17th. Moving the Friday shows to Saturday. They come out Saturday anyway. So I figured, give everyone a little break. Come in Saturday with a fresh new show. Please subscribe and like. Subscribe over there, like in this area down here. Give us a few, maybe you like us a lot and you want to subscribe, you want to give us some time, that's fine. We are marketpeak@gmail.com. Once again, once we hit 1,000 subscribers, which shouldn't be too much longer, we're going to go ahead and get ourselves a web address and like a real email. But for now, we're going to stick with Gmail. Got a lot to talk about today. We're going to be talking about a uranium stock feature, Cameco and URA. Uranium, there's a lot of movement going on, moving into clean energy. It's not as clean as people might think, but it's still considered a clean energy. GME stays flat for the week, like Matt predicted. I was expecting it to go up to close to 200. You expected it to do nothing, and that's pretty much what it did. So SpaceX, not really business related, but kind of because it's connected to Tesla and Amazon's or Jeff Bezos's company did not win the bid, but SpaceX can be taking people to the moon. They won the NASA bid. We're going to be talking about shrimp. So shrimp had some movement, which we're really, really happy about. A lot of stuff going on with shrimp. So, there's a lot of things starting to line up there. Matt's going to have his 3 charts, of course, and we're going to make our predictions. So, Matt, how's it going out there? How was your week?
Good, man.
Yeah?
Week's been great. How's your week been?
It was pretty good. Very busy, as you know, start a new job. That is, which, takes up an interestingly large amount of time, but it was a pretty good week. A lot of hustle and bustle. The days go by fast. So, not too shabby. Okay. And in Miami, it's starting to get pretty hot. I will say that. So, all right. We're financial advisors as we
got 6 inches of snow yesterday.
Did you really? Oh my God, dude. Yep. I'm jealous. I'm not going to see any snow down here. I would love to see some snow, but I do have a new client possibly in the Lake Tahoe area. So I might be able to hopefully do some skiing next week. We'll see how it goes. Okay. So, all right. So we're not financial advisors. None of this is official advice. Do your research, your D squared, all that neat stuff. Please leave a comment with your thoughts. Anything you liked, you didn't like. If you want to give us a thumbs up, cool. If you want to give us a thumbs down, we get them on occasion. I wouldn't say it's cool, but, feel free. We're equal opportunity over here. So, all right, we're going to jump into our news stories. First of all, SpaceX wins bid to take crew to the moon. It's a $2.9 billion contract, which is really awesome. As you know, Blue Origins and Diamantis all were bidding for this. And so SpaceX won. Award is only for the first crew landing. So it's not like, okay, you're going to be the official people. This is just for the first one. Obviously, if it goes well, and if it doesn't go well, then holy crap. SpaceX must first perform an uncrewed landing. NASA is requiring the test flight to fully check out all systems with landing on the lunar surface prior to our formal demonstration mission. NASA officials said Blue Origin, Dynetics, that is, and other companies would be able to bid for future moon landings. Mr. Trump pledged a return by 2024. The schedule is not considered realistic after Congress did not provide requested financing. So NASA, as you know, it was one of the entities that we used to put a lot of money into in this country, and it's just been slowly dwindling away. Hopefully we can add more money to that. I don't know where we're going to get it, but I think it's a pretty cool thing for sure.
Yeah. I know Trump created the Space Force,
which is awesome. Definitely one of the cooler things that he did. Absolutely.
And I'm wondering how much of their budget actually gets shared with
NASA?
Some of NASA's other projects.
That's a good question. That's a good question. I would think that it's completely separate. There might be a little bit of overlap there, I would think. So it's just a cool
There's something going on
for sure
between that agency, NASA, and Elon Musk. Elon Musk has those big Department of Defense contracts. He's putting satellites, anti-missile satellites up into space right now. Yes, Starlink. So he's got his hands in a lot of different, federal agencies.
Sure.
He's got partnerships.
Starlink should go public soon.
Across the government. So, yeah.
I would think Starlink, well, maybe not soon, but Starlink is definitely going to go public. A public internet company. I mean, it just fits. It'd be a great way for him to make some money. So, and all right, Natural Shrimp, we got to say it. So they've announced that they're moving the PLs for those that are new to the whole discussion we have about shrimp PLs, the post larvae. So what they do is once they, get into the little itty bitty shrimp form, they move them into the tanks where they mature. And then after that, they will move them into the growing tanks, and it's gravity. So they'll move them in, they'll drop them in. As you can see this picture right here. Actually, let me go ahead and zoom in. And you can see the little baby shrimp in here just kind of swimming around. So it's a really, really good thing. It's an important milestone because that means everything went well with, maturing the PLs. That means all they got to do is put them in this tank, let them sit there. Hopefully they keep growing, and we'll have some shrimp soon. What do you think?
I think that's exciting news, and I've got my countdown calendar here, waiting for
sure.
That claim of us being listed in the NASDAQ in was it 8 to 9 weeks? I'm waiting for that to come true. It looks like we've got 5 more weeks.
Yep.
So
yeah, it was about 8 weeks they were predicting. That was a few weeks ago. And what's interesting is they also filed, interestingly enough, you can see here, filed an 8K. And I have it in front of you, but I'll read the important part, which is on April 14th, 2021, Natural Shrimp Incorporated entered into a securities purchase agreement with an accredited investor for an offering of $5 million worth of common stock at a share price of 55 cents. So essentially around 10 million shares, which means that there's one investor who is able to buy these shares at 55 cents, which is interesting. Because you would think that if it's somebody to bring on the board, of not trustees, but someone to bring on the board, they would just give you some shares. Like this is going to be part of the payout. Anybody can just go ahead and buy shares whenever they want. So why do you feel they would do something like this for 55 cents to a specific one investor? This person just come in and say, hey, I love your stock. I want to invest $5 million. Can you give me a good price? I mean, how do you think that works? And that also leaves $95 million or so left in the shelf, by the way.
Well, this arrangement could have been reached a while ago, and we're just now hearing about it, just now being disclosed.
Okay.
It could just be for publicity.
It's working. That's for sure.
Any sort of news that comes through on a stock like this, a penny stock like this, is going to have an impact on its market.
Sure, so. 100%. So the number of shares of common stock outstanding immediately after the offering was 573,280,090 shares. So it's literally just like a drop in the grow out tank, if you will. So it's just not a whole lot of, it's a very, very, very small amount at this point. And to be honest with you, most of the time when you're like, we're releasing more shares, it's a bad thing. But in this case, we're not seeing it that way. And if you look at what other people are saying, somebody like, this is great, we need the money because we're going to be expanding. Other people are like, this is crap. But if you look at your countdown calendar, you look at the timeline, you look at, okay, things have officially moved into the grow out tanks. You look at what they're expecting for NASDAQ, which is pretty soon. So everything's kind of seems like it's converging into a really, really awesome place. We're in the middle of April by now. So by middle of May, end of May, we should be having some shrimp. If everything goes as planned, as we've been told, we should be on NASDAQ, whether it's through a reverse split. I almost said reverse merger again. If they announce we have some shrimp and we're rocking and rolling, and whoever else maybe is doing some investments, I feel like there's a good chance they could get institutional investment now that they finally are going to have a product. There's a good chance that they could just get into NASDAQ naturally, which is what everybody wants. Yeah. I mean, but to get up to $2 a share, especially when you just offered, $5 million worth at 55 cents a share, you're looking at, fourfold. It's around like 60 cents right now. Actually, here, do I have it here? No, let me pull it up. SHMP. So if you look at it right now, it's 62 cents. So you're looking at threefold. Probably want to go fourfold because you need to stay at $2. You can't just kind of get there and hover. So we'll see what happens. Do you still feel like, reverse split? Like, how do you feel like this has a chance to get there?
A reverse split might seem like a punishment to current shareholders, provided they don't plan on including this as an addition to their long-term portfolio. If you're just looking to make a quick profit, reverse share split does not seem like a good thing for you.
No.
What I do know is that Peter Najarian is on their board.
Yep.
He's closely connected. He's on CNBC all the time.
He's in the shrimp videos now.
People. Yeah. He's advising them. And for them to come out and give us a specific time frame for NASDAQ listing, to me means that they're being pretty well advised as to as to the right time.
Sure.
Right.
Sure.
To try and get listed. So, I mean, maybe he knows something that he's telling them. Maybe they're just waiting for the right market conditions, and maybe they know when those right market conditions will occur. And if they do occur, right, if we just have an insane rally in a few weeks, maybe they don't need to do a reverse stock split.
Let's hope so. I wonder how quickly they could implement that. Let's say we want to do a reverse stock split. Can they do it in a week or two? It takes a little bit more time than that. So,
good question.
They would. I feel like they would probably have to announce that maybe ahead of time. And of course, once you announce that, the stock goes down. So let's say for instance, we're at the 55 cents. If we're gonna do a 4 for 1 or 1 for 4, and so all of a sudden you're at $2.20, but at the same time, because you announced it, the stock's probably going to drop. So now you're maybe closer to 45 cents. So now you got to do a 5 for 1. So it's going to be interesting. Hopefully everything goes well. The grow out tanks work well. We got some shrimp. We have a product. Institutional investor comes in, bumps it up naturally. It is natural shrimp. I feel like we should be able to hope that we would do it naturally.
I think that's how everything is going to unfold.
Okay.
By the way, I think they will put a product on the table that'll catch institutional interest, and then you'll get some advertisements, and it'll just blow up.
Let's hope so. All right, moving on. So GameStop, just bringing it up because you had said we had made predictions. Obviously, April 16th was a pretty big day. Because DFV had a call scheduled for that. We'll see what he ended up doing. I don't know if he posted a YOLO update yet. I expected to get closer to the 200 level, going to run. You expected it to be flat, and it was flat. It didn't do anything over the week. It had a nice little bump up. Actually jumped 18% at one point, and then pretty much settled back down. But it started the week at 158. It settled the week at 156. So Matt was right on the money, to the chagrin of other investors out there, but you definitely called it.
Well, if you look at that year-long chart or even 3-month, 6-month chart,
sure.
Just look at that wedge pattern being formed.
Yep.
We're trying to break out of that right now.
Sure.
I think there is some after-hours action. And, this is where the conviction buyers, have to kind of, put their money where their mouth is.
Sure. And that's kind of what's happening.
I think I did hear that DFV is purchasing more shares, actually.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah.
Good Lord. Good for him, man. I love it. Good Lord.
I'm telling you, this is just going to continue.
Okay.
It's such a new phenomenon. Investors assume that it has to end, that this is just too much for the market to handle, these large trading swings and what used to be a small stock. But it's just the new paradigm we're in.
Yeah.
We're in the wild, wild west. There's a lot of money out there searching for homes. There's a lot of speculation. So
sure.
It's a big game. And you have a few select stocks that are big players. And, I wouldn't give up on them just yet.
Sure. All right. Well, we'll see. All right. So I guess we'll go ahead and jump into the stock feature for today. Stock feature, but we're actually talking about uranium, and you have a couple here on the list. One is URA, which is Global uranium EFT, and you also have CCJ, which is Cameco Core. Which were both involved in the uranium market. So which one do you want me to have? Chart do you want to have out front when I get started? By the way, Matthew did a lot of work. He's got a lot of notes on this stuff. So really good job there. We appreciate it, of course. I'm sure the viewers will appreciate it as well. Where do you want to start here?
Yeah, this one's going to be easier to talk about than TTCM was.
Yeah, no doubt.
So I'd say URA.
URA, okay.
Maybe the 5-year chart on URA.
5-year on the URA.
Have in the background there.
All right, pulling it out. Go for it, man.
Yeah, so you see uranium is on a breakout. By the way, URA is an uranium ETF. It holds a lot of different miners, a lot of different uranium junior miners. It holds some gold miners. It holds some, refiners. And I think it holds maybe a couple of small utilities, but don't quote me on that one.
Sure.
But as you can see, uranium is blowing up
big time.
And let's talk about why. And let's talk about why we're talking about uranium. So uranium right now is hot because the clean energy trend is really kicking into higher gear now that we have a friendlier administration. It is the most cost-effective way to produce large amounts of energy. Your main input is uranium. There's a more abundant supply of uranium than people think in existence.
Okay.
The problem is who's currently mining it,
sure.
right? And what's going on with its supply chain. So, and the reason why we're talking about it on this show too is because it has to do with clean energy. It's still kind of an emerging technology because whereas nuclear power and weapons have been around for a long time, some of these newer style reactors and new methods of refinement of enrichment are really taking the space to like new places.
Safer being one of the main
more cost effective.
Main things is making it safer.
Yeah. And that's basically where we were going to start out on talking about, why the price went down. So, I mean, just I don't know if you have any notes on it, but just off the cuff, off the top of your head, why do you think prices took such a dive a few years ago?
I would say, everything took a dive more recently. But I think with everything moving forward, we were traveling a lot. There was a lot of cars that were being used, a lot of drilling. The United States decided we're going to stop being dependent on foreign oil, so we're going to start investing into our own. All of a sudden, we're fracking. We're creating our own. We're the Saudi Arabia of natural gas. And people just didn't really care that much. Trump was in the office. He didn't care about clean energy that much. I think it would be a combination of all those things that uranium just kind of took a back seat, which, obviously was to the detriment of the environment. And now that we have Democrats in and Joe Biden in, keeping up with the rest of the world, because not the rest of the world, but most of the rest of the world is trying to do clean energy as well. So I really think that now we're kind of in a position to where uranium is starting to pick back up.
Okay. Yeah. And that's definitely, I'd say, one whole half of, the argument.
Sure.
So you had a shifting political landscape. You had a very oil-friendly, coal-friendly administration come in and change the business environment. So like you said, uranium took a back seat. The other half of that is what happened in Japan, the Fukushima reactor.
Oh, yeah. That's right.
A few years ago, basically melted down. There was a flood. There was some structural damage to the reactor itself. So
because of a tsunami,
and that was, and that was such a bad PR event for the space that you had Japan pretty much shut down most of its reactors. They started dumping all the uranium onto the market. That caused a glut of supply, and due to all the bad press, you had a demand shock follow that.
Sure.
So you had people shutting down their reactors. You had a lot of utility companies, kind of temporarily shutting down operations to perform safety checks, to upgrade the technology, to make things safer, more cost effective. But a lot of that is past now.
Sure. Except for the fact that Japan just recently announced that they're going to slowly be dumping that radioactive water into the Pacific Ocean. Let's just keep it real. They're going to treat it first. They're going to treat it first, but this was just announced a couple weeks. They have nothing else. They don't know what else to do with it. Anyway, proceed.
I mean, what do you do with radioactive waste?
Like nothing. You got to just
shoot it in space or you can bury it.
Yeah, that's it. That's it. True.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I mean, for it to half-life, enough to where it doesn't, pose a radiation threat.
Thousands of years.
Take like thousands of years.
Yeah.
So, but anyway, so there was Japan, and Russia was actually running a program called Megatons to Megawatts, a few years ago, in which they pretty much started dumping all their enriched uranium. They were kind of downsizing their nuclear arsenal, and they had, this excess supply, excess inventory. So they dumped all of that into the market. And it actually went to many U.S. reactors, U.S. Utility companies owning these reactors. They got all this enriched uranium at a very cheap price. They got it on fire sale. And that hurt U.S. uranium producers a lot. So too much uranium on the market being sold, too little demand, and prices got crushed.
Sure. Okay. All right. Well, there you have it, folks. So that's why prices, went crazy. And now they're starting to move back up, and that's just I guess the flooded uranium is it's been acquired, is starting to be put into use, and now is there a little bit more of a scarcity based on the amount of mining? Because I assume a lot of mining stopped as well.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Exactly, and that's exactly what happened. So global miners were very slow to react to the decrease in demand.
Sure.
And instead of cutting production, which would have stabilized the price per ounce of uranium, they kept producing, right?
Sure.
And they kept producing so much that they caused the price of uranium to go down, made it less profitable for them to stay open. Ergo, a lot of them had to shut down.
Which would happen with oil last year.
Back on operations. Yeah. So that's exactly right. And a lot of miners had to delay new exploration projects, which are how new mines are founded and opened. So you had like this perfect storm. But I also want to talk about another reason why the outlook looks good right now. So yes, you have a lot of that excess supply being absorbed right now. But you also have a lot of these Asian countries, China, Japan, Korea, and then India, with very large populations suffering right now from overpolluted conditions, especially in these major urban metropolises.
100%.
So that's on the minds of a lot of politicians in that area of the world. It's a reason why clean energy is a big push right now. And, you have China pledging to build 200 new reactors by 2060.
Wow.
You have Korea and Japan building new reactors. Japan actually has 18 reactors waiting for approval right now. They've restarted 9 reactors that they had to previously shut down due to the Fukushima disaster. So you have, and obviously, like you said earlier, clean energy in the United States has kind of gotten a new wind.
Being reinvigorated, for sure.
The whole movement has got wind in its sails now. So that's just going to be a driver of demand. And so you have big demand, particularly in Asia, right? There's a lot of incentive. You have a more friendly Western political environment too. The United States produces a lot of energy. If we were to really actually begin shifting towards nuclear, solar, and wind, that's going to cause ripple effects in the market and impact the price of uranium.
Sure.
And I mean, it already has. All that's happening. So let's talk really quickly about what's going on with the miners. So obviously, miners are the ones who kind of are really impacted most by the ebbs and flows of supply and demand. You have 2 of the world's largest uranium deposits. Both, I believe, are in Canada.
Okay.
The MacArthur River mine owned by Cameco, which is a company we're going to look at later,
Sure.
and the Finger Lake mine.
Sure.
And the Finger Lake mine is scheduled to be closed down in 6 years. It's going to be fully depleted, they're thinking. And it was also shut down all last year due to COVID.
Sure.
And as was, I believe, MacArthur River in Canada. So you have all these major deposits, right, which are unminable right now,
sure,
right?
Yeah.
And you don't have enough new projects, exploration projects being opened up. So only 1 out of 50 mining projects succeed.
Holy shit. Wow.
Are approved.
Wow. That's a huge failure rate.
Yeah, it's hard. You take a core samples, you do a geotechnical analysis based on what you think is in the dirt. And most of the time you're wrong because, these mines shafts go pretty deep.
Yeah.
And, the richest deposits are deep underground. So
wow,
there's that. Costs a lot of money to ramp up one of these operations. You're only going to get investors if the price of uranium is worth it. Right?
Gotcha.
So there's that. The world used 180 million pounds of uranium, but only mined and refined 120 million pounds last year.
Oh, okay. Wow.
So, the numbers right there tell you that there's a demand supply issue.
Sure.
There's an imbalance there
sure.
that is going to be corrected by, in my opinion, a dramatic increase in the price of uranium.
Wow.
And here's another thing, and you had alluded to this earlier when you said that a lot of this supply is now being eaten up. So after the Japanese reactor disaster, a lot of these nuclear utility companies pretty much slowed down new contracts of uranium. So pretty much they started buying less
sure.
and less
sure.
and less and less. And then Russia started selling a lot of cheap uranium to U.S. companies. So what you have now is a situation in which U.S. utility companies which own reactors don't have enough uranium in inventory, right? There are bottlenecks in supply, like we've discussed on previous episodes.
Shipping.
It's just hard to get things shipped efficiently. Yeah. So there's a huge supply issue. Demand is rising, and the price does not reflect that right now. $30 per pound. I've heard estimates of $60 at the bare minimum to meet demand over the next 3 years.
Wow.
So there's an issue there. And, there are only a handful of companies and ETFs that really target this space. You have URA, which is the big uranium global ETF.
Yep.
That's going to give you about 70% direct exposure to uranium miners, which is good. And you have Cameco, CCJ, which is one of the world's largest uranium miners, producers, right? And they own MacArthur River in Canada. They're a Canadian company. And, they're saying that they have more projects coming online,
sure,
right? That have yet to be approved. So those companies, those two stocks would be my pick right now. URA also gives you a nice level of exposure to junior miners, and a junior miner is basically anyone with a piece of paper, a geotechnical analysis, trying to open up an actual mine.
Okay.
Right. A junior miner doesn't actually have to. It doesn't infer that the company owns or is running a mine yet. It just basically means that they have prospects.
So these are new entries into the space. I gotcha.
Exactly.
Sure.
So new that they haven't even
mined anything yet.
Broken ground yet.
Sure. Okay.
Yeah. They could. There's actually a really good. I think it was a Netflix original called Gold with starring Matthew McConaughey.
GOAL.
It's just. I think it's just called Gold.
Oh, Gold.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah, Gold, and he's great in it. And it talks about the gold mining process, and basically what he is
there it is.
He runs a gold mining company, and he goes to Brazil to try, or Argentina, I think it's Brazil, to try and prospect to try and open up a new deposit.
I'll take a look at it.
It's a tough business. It really is. It's hard to do.
Yeah, you got to dig underground.
He's hilarious in that movie.
Okay,
too.
Cool. We'll definitely check it
it's
out.
an epic movie.
And you like
really
as well.
One of my favorite movies of the past couple of years.
So, and was
Energy Fuels has been on an absolute tear.
It really has.
And so not because of uranium, though, although uranium is a large part of their business, but because, and I think you had done some research on this earlier. So apparently they got into rare earth.
Yeah, they're starting to do rare earth. They like I don't know, mission statement, but they're going to start doing rare earth metals, which is pretty good. This is another one that I would recommend. A little bit more cost effective if you want to jump in the lower bracket. That's for sure. Yeah. All right. Well,
but
uranium, I like it. I think
definitely an asymmetric trade opportunity.
For sure. For sure. All your arguments are pretty freaking solid. I think, if you can get in with some of these bigger companies that have a track record, you're going to be doing a lot better for sure. And based on everything you said, I mean, the trend for nuclear power should continue to keep going up along with everything else. But as we know, you take a footprint and you fill it with wind farm or you fill it with a nuclear reactor, you're going to get a lot more energy out of that nuclear reactor. So provided that they can continue to increase the safety and continue to increase the output, anything going on with uranium should be a really, really good bet moving forward.
Yeah. So the big new technology that's allowing them to increase output basically revolves around refinement. So what engineers are able to do now is they're able to take more uranium, right, enrich it, and produce more energy.
Sure.
Right?
So they enrich it first?
So basically what they're doing. So
yeah, please.
Yeah. So they take a bunch of uranium-235, which is it's the most commonly mined isotope, and it's more stable too. And then they take 238, which is an unstable isotope,
sure.
And that's what they use to enrich the 235.
Okay.
And what you get is something less stable but still manageable.
Sure.
Because you want something less stable, you want something that's going to react.
Yeah,
right?
For sure.
Produce energy and heat. Right.
Absolutely.
And they've gotten really good at that refinement process.
People out there looking for some diversification, here's a great opportunity to throw something in there. You could almost say you're investing in the future. There are plenty of people that would disagree, but I feel like, especially based on what you said with being able to create a uranium that's more stable but still able to produce. It's a really, really good thing because that's the biggest issue. And the thing in Fukushima, you guys got to remember, it's not like it failed. They put it close to the shore. It was a big earthquake that created a tsunami that just completely tore the place apart. So it's not like there was a meltdown or anything like that. Yeah, completely. I mean, it still has its issues. You could put a plant anywhere. If there's an earthquake, there's a possibility of a meltdown. But it's not like there's a big issue with the way it was designed or there's an issue with the way they were running the plants or anything. All right, well, freaking rock on, man. That's a pretty good little write-up there. We really appreciate it. Let's go ahead and jump into everyone's favorite segment, 3 Charts with Matt. And we're going to start with the VIX, which is how we do. We'll go ahead and jump out with a month. 16 points.
So you actually got this one right.
Yeah. Well, actually, I thought 15.5. You thought 14.5. So I was closer, but neither of us were right per se.
Well, so we got a bounce off 15.4.
Sure.
I think on Wednesday, I want to say.
It was
and
15,
that's been the bottom.
Yep. 15.7, I think it was. Go ahead.
Okay, yeah. So, and that's pretty much been the bottom so far this week. And listen, you know what I think. I think maybe we get a spike early next week and then it just heads lower.
Yep.
I mean, to get to a new all-time low in the VIX, we have to go a lot lower. And It's going to take a very long time, in my opinion.
We'll see.
But, it's helping to stabilize the market. I mean...
Yeah, I mean, everything looks good. It's, stocks are looking okay. There's some stocks that got pounded. Some of the ones I follow, especially the tech sector, fuel cell, Watt, all just got obliterated. But overall, the market's been holding relatively firm. And Mondays have been not traditional Mondays. Fridays haven't been traditional Fridays. There's a lot of interesting stuff going on. but overall it hasn't really been going down too badly, which is nice. That's for sure. All right, so moving on, we're gonna go ahead. We'll jump into Coinbase, which had a pretty good start. As you can see, it just came out last week, and it popped out up at about 420. Seems to have settled around like 345. Seems to have some pretty decent support around this area. I have a friend who texted me, is like, I know you guys talk about it on the show, but what do you think about Coinbase? I was like, buy it and buy Ethereum. That's it. So Coinbase, please take it away. We're at 342, all-time low. Granted, it hasn't been that long. 311, all-time high, 424.
So, I mean, it came out the gate basically at almost $100 billion valuation.
It's like 86.
Which is insane.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, look, it's making money hand over fist. It has a monopoly as far as being that monetary on ramp, off ramp is concerned. I mean, there's Gemini too, but that's difficult to use. Coinbase is a little more of an accessible platform.
Yep.
It has a pretty wide range of coins it's offering.
But they're still very selective. They don't just like, oh, let's add it. They take their time. They determine what they want to sell. They're not just throwing stuff on there to make money. They're extremely judicious with how they proceed with certain coins.
Yeah, and that's a good point. And it's almost as if they're like the gateway. They're kind of like the key.
Setting the trend.
Or the kingmaker, right? Yeah, like XRP gets listed, Ripple gets listed, it blows up fivefold.
Sure, right? Sure.
I mean, it's like the NASDAQ of cryptocurrency.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And look, I mean, where do they go from here? Do they keep monetizing their coin offerings? Do they just, offer other services? I don't know what other services they might offer. But I mean, they have a monopoly on the U.S. market.
They really do.
So it's just an easy platform to use, and the sky's the limit.
Yeah.
The question is, I guess, how do they keep increasing their profitability?
Adding more coins. I mean, that's a quick and easy way, and like you said, like, especially now that they've gone public, they're gonna have a lot more funds at their disposal. So, they could very easily, find different avenues for revenue for sure. You don't want to rock the boat too much right now. Just keep things going as they are. But there's a lot of opportunity there for sure. So, and then we might as well jump into it because God, like, who to thunk? So I'll go here, Doge Coin. It was trading around 5 to 7 cents for the longest time. Let me get out the month. As you can see here, 5 cents, and all of a sudden jumped up, actually topped out at like 39.8 cents, and it settled back down. But Dogecoin, in fact, I think I mentioned it last episode we did, but when we on our other show, Because We Said So, we talked about a little bit about the fact that there's a strip club, a 24-hour strip club here in Miami that's started accepting currency. They're doing Ethereum, they're doing Bitcoin, of course, they're doing XRP, but they're also doing Dogecoin. Like, Dogecoin is one of the ones they're accepting, and that's a pretty big thing. That puts a lot of weight behind it. I don't know if there's a catalyst to actually bring Dogecoin into the forefront the way it has recently, but right now it's trading at 29.9 cents. Might even be 30 cents by the time you finish your next sentence. Please.
So here's my
30
question.
cents. There it is. Just happened.
Top out here?
Sure.
Do you think we top out here and consolidate?
I think we did top out. I think we did top out, and I think we're going to find a little consolidation, maybe down to like 20 cents, and then it's just going to go on another run. It could stay right here. It seems to have its next support line, say like around 23, 24 cents. But yeah, I mean, it's amazing what's going on with Dogecoin right now.
So do you think that is a reflection of, just like this, speculators market we're in, or do you think there's some other fundamental reason? Or do you think it's just Elon Musk?
Elon Musk wants Dogecoin to be the people's coin. And one of the things that he's been asking people to do, the whales, is to sell your Dogecoin so it can get out into the market. More people can get their hands on it. a lot of people feel like Dogecoin could like get up to $1 and it could be like, $1 coin. Obviously it can go more. But that's kind of like the spot that everyone's kind of aiming for, thinking like, we can get it to $1, then it's going to be like a real currency. Who knows how it can go from there? But it's one of those ones that everyone knows about. Everyone knows the image. The image is memed out, to high heaven. It's the one that everybody loves and supports, and you got nothing bad to say about Dogecoin. Ripple, obviously, it's had its issues. Bitcoin, it's had its fair share of detractors as well. Ethereum is another one that people don't have a lot bad to say about it. But after Ethereum, like, I feel like maybe Ripple, but the most talked about coin out there probably is Dogecoin, right? I mean, you have Litecoin, you got Bitcoin Cash, you got all those other ones. But if you talk about like, commanding the news lines and all that, I feel like it's Bitcoin, Ethereum, and Dogecoin, probably Ripple after that, in my opinion. So I feel like it's just continuing this trend, which, what's one, I hate to say it, one of the things I love about Robinhood, you can just buy the cryptocurrency so easy. You don't have to go through an exchange or anything like that. You can buy Dogecoin. Yeah, you can buy Dogecoin and Ethereum right then and there, which is a beautiful thing. I mean, what do you think? Why do you think Dogecoin's picked up all of a sudden? I mean, this is just in the past 5 days.
I just think it's due to these, speculative nature of these markets. I think, the fact that a coin offering no enterprise solutions, serving basically no utility within the cryptocurrency, ecosystem.
Sure.
The fact that it can rise 4 or 5-fold
in a week,
in a couple of days.
Yeah.
In a week.
On Monday, it was 8 cents.
and that had been off the heels of a pretty dramatic rally.
Sure.
Over that weekend, I believe.
Yep.
It basically went from like 5 cents, 5 cents to, like 8 cents. And that was huge. It's a huge deal. And I'm sure a lot of people sold at the previous all-time high and, missed out.
Sure.
But, I think this is just more evidence that there's just like so much liquidity sloshing around the markets. It's, you just throw a dart at something you can't really lose.
Yeah.
And it's just the same, kind of, over exuberance that has a lot of mainstream chart technicians worrying that we're about to experience a severe correction.
Yeah. And now it's like, it's down to like 30.5, dude. Just in this conversation, there's so much going on with this freaking coin right now. This is insane. I'm
too afraid to touch it.
I'm right here where it is right now. Me too. Because it could very easily just dump down to 10 cents like it was nothing. If it does, buy it. Even if it dumps down to 15, 20 cents, it's only a matter of time before this goes on another run. This isn't something, I mean, there's definitely some pump and dump stuff going on right now. But this is one of those situations where, like GameStop and, AMC and all this and that. I mean, this is purely speculation, purely driven by sentiment, purely driven by momentum. So that means there's forces working against it. But it's not like you have to worry about, like the YOLO update, or you have to worry about news or earnings or anything like that. It's just, crypto, man, it's just so much more fun. All right. So I guess, for Monday, what are we predicting? What are we predicting for Monday or for next week? Let's just go ahead and say next week. We predicting an up week, a down week.
So I always say watch the VIX.
Sure, of course.
I think we could get a slight bounce. If you look at its major traded ETF or ETN VXX, it's holding support at around $10 right now.
Sure.
Per share. And it hasn't broken that. That makes me think that we're set up for a little bounce. If we do, and I think it'll be pretty little. Like maybe, well, who knows? With the VIX as low as it is now, maybe it could be a more sizable bounce. But
sure.
Either way, after the bounce, we just continue trend.
You're thinking it might reverse split, right? The VXX, you're expecting a reverse split. Is that still?
Oh, it actually is.
Oh,
it actually
it's
is.
Gonna?
So that's happening on the 23rd.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good Lord.
So that's not really going to affect trading outside of maybe you'll have some people jump out of their contracts into new ones this week. I mean, maybe that. I mean, obviously the price is going to go up.
Sure.
But you know, the value of your trade relative to price isn't going to change. So there's that. I think we have an up week.
Okay.
I think we finished the week either even or slightly up.
Okay.
But what I'm looking at is small caps.
Sure.
I'm thinking small caps start to rally again and start to pick up steam.
I hope so.
Because I mean, mainly because of energy, oil. You know, we haven't even really gotten into you know, the warmer season yet.
Sure.
Where you always see an increase in the price of oil, generally speaking, barring something crazy like what happened last year with future contracts. But
and Doge Coin, where do you expect Doge Coin to be on Monday?
So
this is purely a guess. Like, there's no educated guess whatsoever. I'm gonna say 20. I'm gonna say 20 cents. 20 cents.
I'll say I have no clue.
Okay.
Like, I honestly think it's going to go. I think it will go to like $1 over the next couple months.
Sure. I agree.
I mean, maybe you're right. Maybe we had such a dramatic, impulsive, you know, move up that maybe it's time to, you know, cool things down a bit.
So too. Well, GameStop is
spend time with your family.
Yeah, that too. GameStop is, you know, commanding swaggy stocks again. You got Palantir behind. You know, Tesla's pulled out a bit. So last one, GameStop. Do you expect it to be up or down on Monday? It's about a 150 right now.
So
I mean, if Deep Fucking Value bought more, then it's going to go up. So if that's the case, I feel like it should go up.
So if we do go down a little bit on Monday, which I think GameStop maybe goes down a little bit on Monday, I'm probably going to buy a call, actually.
Sure.
Probably an in the money call, because I do think, again, we break out of this wedge pattern.
Okay.
And, you know, I think we're going to have a massive move higher over the next few weeks, personally.
Sure.
That's what I think. To new all-time highs, actually.
Well, please leave us a comments with your thoughts. Subscribe if you're still watching. Like the video. Once again, you want to email us. We are marketpeak@gmail.com. Check out our other show, which is Because We Said So. Put it up here. I don't know what we're talking about this week. There's been a lot going on. I definitely feel like we'll jump into the SpaceX thing a little bit more for sure. But just talking about what's going on in the world, talking about news. It's a funny show. It's a fun show. A lot going on with that. So go ahead and check it out. And if you go to bwsspodcast.com, you'll see up here, you'll see a link to the Market Peak shows and all that also. All right. Any last minute thoughts?
You have a SoundCloud too, right? I don't know if you guys knew, but Seth is also a music producer.
Yeah, I
produces the music for the show.
Produce the music for the show.
So I think you're working on an album, right?
Yeah, working on an EDM album, which, I mean, between the new job, 3 episodes of this a week, episode of that other show, which is an 1.5-hour show, it's a lot. But I will find time. I found a new person who's going to be able to mix the album for me, which is great. It's going to be an EP. But all the music on this show, all the music on BWS's podcast is all my music. It's a nice little avenue. I don't put myself out there as much as I used to. Like 2011, I was on like 40 albums. All I did was produce music. But now I got a family, I have bills to pay. You know, things change. But The Unsilenced is where you can, theunsilenced.com actually. You can find links there to the music and to the SoundCloud and all that also. So, all right. Well, I guess that's it. We'll be back with another episode tomorrow. And we appreciate everyone for the support, for the views, for the likes, everything. And I guess that's it. Boom.